How's it going, everyone? Josh with Stabil FIT Life, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to show you some unique ways to help you with your swing. So before we show you some unique ways that you can try at home to help you out with your kettlebell swings, let's talk about the hip hinge. So hip hinge, feet shoulder width apart. Make sure your feet is planted on the ground. Big toe, little toe, heel on the ground is planted on the ground the whole entire time, right? Take your hands, your knife hands, for all the Marine Corps guys out there, and drive them into your hips and push your glutes back. Okay, again, same here. Drive it to your hips and push your glutes back. Imagine you're trying to close the door with your rear end. That's what we're trying to do. Drive those hips back and stand straight up. So imagine you're dancing back in the early 2000s. A nice song brought to you by Juvenile, right? He told you to back it up. That's what we want to do, okay? And of course, we want to thrust, be explosive. So when you look at the swing itself, okay, that is the cornerstone to all other explosive movements. When we're talking about cleans, when we're talking about snatches, regardless if it's a kettlebell, barbell, or dumbbell, our hinge is going to be the focal point, all right, to make those movements explosive, especially once we start to increase the weight. So now that you got some practice reps into hinging here, now let's go over some things that we like to do here at Stabil FIT Life Gym to kind of build on top of that. All right, so I like to use a stability ball with my clients. Okay, it's just layering this hip hinge down. So I'll stand across from them and basically we'll play a game. I'm sure you've seen this in the internet a few years ago. All right, so all I want you to do, drive those hips back and explode out. And we'll play this game of catching the ball back and forth. Once we get a few good reps of that in, of just being explosive, remember not to move our feet, but just to be explosive with our hips, we'll transition into this next one. Now after we got some great reps with this stability ball game, let's transition into the next one. So this part doesn't have to be complicated. Just get a towel, doesn't matter the length, okay? And a kettlebell. I suggest starting a decent amount of weight, maybe 20, 25 pounds, maybe even 30. All right, it's going to depend on your client or yourself. But from here, I like to take the towel and wrap it through the handle of the kettlebell. And so, now we're talking about the hinge itself with the kettlebell. Further away from the kettlebell you are, the easier it's going to be. And then once you start getting closer to the kettlebell, you'll go more into the original range of motion for you or your client, whoever you're working with. So all I want you to do is take this towel, make sure you grip it, okay? Hinge it back, all right, and just practice moving your hips. All right, remember, the hips drive, the arms guide. So I'm not using my arms to move this kettlebell. I want my hips to do all the movement here. Once we get a couple of reps there, place it down, shake it out. Now, you started at the end of the towel, get a little closer. Let's go about halfway. Same concept. Hinge here, bring it back, explode with the hips. Hips drive, arms guide. Right? Couple reps there. Place it back down. Get a little closer. Same thing. Drive the hips. Hips drive, arms guide. Once we got a couple reps there, we should be ready and good to go with the kettlebell. So hopefully these techniques help you out. Remember to start with your hip hinge to practice that. Driving the glutes back. Make sure your feet, your big toe, little toe, heel on the ground stays in contact with the ground at all times. and just imagine you're trying to close that door with your rear end. Then transition into the stability ball thrust, okay, to help you be more explosive with your hips. And then transition to the towel and kettlebell. Remember, the hips drive, the arms guide. You should not be using your arms at all to move the kettlebell. Allow your hips to do all that work for you. When the kettlebell is at this top position here, consider that your rest break. Okay? So if you have any questions about what we went over today, please put them in the comment section below, and we'll try to get those questions answered ASAP. But try these techniques out. Just remember, in the beginning, be consistent. Every rep of your kettlebell swing is not going to be the same in the beginning. Okay? So, the more you show up, the more you're consistent with your training, the kettlebell swing is going to be a lot easier, and you're going to be able to progress into heavier weights down the road. But don't just jump into heavier weight because you perfected these techniques. Okay? It takes time. So put in the work, put in the effort, and I guarantee you're going to see your kettlebell swing transform by the week. All right? So have a stable, fit life, and I'll see you in the next video.